Welcome back to B&B Studios, where Berner and Barthy will talk all things happening in the Central Coast Rugby competition. Good chat, good footy, good fun. Take it away, boys.
Well, thanks, Tomo, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the B&B Unplugging Central Coast Rugby podcast. A couple episodes to go, mate, because the season is wrapping up.
What a cracking day on Saturday, wasn't it?
It was awesome. Didn't kind of mention it last week, but as I was rocking up there, I just thought this is one of the best days of rugby in terms of matches that I've seen in a long time. It had a grand final atmosphere, and I suppose stakes not so much because obviously grand finals are a bit different. But you look at the games as you went through, everything. I mean, second grade score kind of blew out in the end, but everything else was so close. Like thirds, was 2 points in that penalty goal at the death, for Razorbacks to get up. Yeah. It was a 27-10 or whatever it was for the Terrigal-Avoca game. And then you're leading into the main three games that we cover, and you had Avoca Terrigal into Terrigal Warnervale into Razorbacks Avoca. And just the finish that you had for the whole day was just just deserved.
And the intensity of each game was almost grand final like intensity in the games as well, wasn't it? Yeah. What a cracking day.
Yeah, we've had some issues throughout the season with, I suppose, competitiveness in the matches, but it all kind of came to a head on the weekend where everything just matched up absolutely perfectly. And a good turnout as well.
Mate, it was. I think that format is really good in regards to, that top five and playing two Premier One games. I really like that format. I think it brings a more of a community sort of a feel to it, and you get people from other clubs hanging around to watch the games because they're rugby fans, but also too watching to see who might progress through to the grand final or who they might be playing the following week.
Well, you don't watch games of rugby. Like, for example, if you're Warnervale, you don't watch Razorbacks versus Avoca usually. Obviously, you're playing them or playing against them, but you never actually see the game. So to sit back and actually watch the game is a different experience for them as well. And having all the clubs there is all the great people of the Central Coast is absolutely awesome as well. But cracking day rugby, mate. The wind was an absolute pain in the ass.
I tell you what, we didn't have Blackwall Mountain snow, did we?
No, it was a hell of a snow peak on Blackwall Mountain, mate. I've said that for years, but a lot of trips to Kmart to get some extra layers of clothing, a couple of blankets I saw in the crowd there as well.
It's not unusual to find white powder in Woolworths, is it?
No, not at all, mate. All right, let's get into some results, mate. You started on fire.
Thanks to Gus and the team at Erina Podiatry.
You know what, Barthy, before we actually get into the results, we have some celebratory news that we kind of didn't know because, look, we don't keep our own stats, but it does get sent through to us when we achieve a milestone. Last week was our 100th episode of this podcast.
100 episodes of B&B talking rubbish.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Absolutely.
I suppose what we've done, I was sort of thinking like 100 episodes, that's huge. That's a big milestone to have 100 episodes recorded, put out there, published, and obviously people, listening to and well over 20,000 streams as well, which is good. Like that's healthy and that's promoting the game and obviously getting traction every single week. So it was a nice moment to sort of see that and go, look at all the stuff that we've done from where I suppose there was no coverage on social media of the Central Coast Rugby competition before we started doing it.
Nope.
We were pushing it. The women's competition only started. There was nothing, the Kate Thompson medal, all those sorts of things that we look at and are staples of our competition, features of our competition now. Weren't around sort of 4 years ago. And it's just going through that, even the stone throw. I remember Nick Meyer.
Yeah.
We never talked about him then.
Nick Meyer. Who's Nick Meyer?
Well, I think we've had a couple of years now that no one actually remembers what the stone thrower talked about. But if you go back and listen,
allegedly,
but if you go back and you hear the stone thrower stuff, it's some of Nick Meyer's best work.
Allegedly.
Congratulations, mate! 100 episodes,
and congratulations to you too, pal. But also, thank you very much to our supporters, our listener base, and our rugby community members who get on board and have a listen and make it worth our while. Now, we're very close to 25,000. Streams. We've exceeded that when we take into account our YouTube viewership, the people who get on board and watch our YouTube. So, mate, it's been a very, very, very successful 4 years for something that we just thought, here's an idea, and it's just blossomed and grown, and it's something I think it's fair to say something we're both very, very proud of.
Yep.
And we just again want to thank everyone from the bottom of our hearts, the rugby community, for supporting us. But also too, just on a little bit of a side note, a big thank you to everyone who reached out during the week and showed their support by commenting on social media. And I guess also just to clear things up, it's the podcast is still going. Some people thought the podcast was being axed, and no, the podcast is not being axed. This is something that Bernard and I do out of our own pocket, and thanks to awesome people like Gus Bruin from Erina Podiatry and Carl Verhoff from Exquisite Exterior Cleaning from the Red Devils, putting money into their pocket and their business to support us so we can pay some bills, because prior to that, obviously, it's all coming out of our own pocket.
Yep.
But,
speaking of Gus, let's get into the results of the round. Thanks to Gus. We'll start with the earlier two grades. Razorbacks take the win over Terrigal. So Razorbacks are playing in the grand final.
After the bell or on the bell or thereabouts, the penalty kick.
Yep. After the bell, 60th minute, I believe it is. I was going to say 80. Yes, they play 30 minutes. Something. Yeah. After the bell.
They stand on the field for 60 minutes.
Occupy.
Yeah.
11-9. So congratulations to the Razorbacks heading to the third President's Cup grand final. Terrigal will go again this weekend. Premier 2. Well, the game kind of got away from Avoca a little bit, sort of a little bit tighter, and then Terrigal sort of ran away in the last 20 minutes to take the lead or take the win 29 points to 10. So Terrigal Premier 2 are off to another grand final. Avoca will go again this weekend. On to the women's, mate. Avoca get the win over Terrigal 17 points to 12. What did you think about this?
Mate, I thought it was an epic battle and something that we've come to expect, and something that we never gets tiresome of watching. And I thought it was again, I spoke last week about the Avoca Beach women's side have that gut, grit, and determination. And I think you saw it again there on Saturday. And I think it highlighted again, I've touched on it before, that Terrigal don't have a plan B. And I thought the Trojans tried to go, well, they were too sideways. They didn't earn the right to go sideways, so they're just trying to shuffle it out. And the Avoca Beach are too smart for that. The platform wasn't laid through the forwards. The simplicities of the game seem to be lost on the Terrigal Trojan at the moment, because I think they've been spoiled by the luxury of just being able to have one runner up, get the forward platform going very quickly off one or two runs, and then use the backs. But when you come up to a strong, very good side in the Avoca Beach Rugby Club who knock them down and they don't get any momentum, then they just, we just got to do this. Now we do this and we score, but no, that doesn't work. And it was an improved performance by the Terrigal Trojans, but I think again it highlights just the gut and grit and determination that the Avoca Beach side have over them. And you know, when you start to single players off, you know, who would you pick out of this person, this person, this person, this person? With all due respect, I think the skill level is higher in the Terrigal Trojan side as a general statement. But the determination and the gravel in your guts and prepared to do what it takes to win, Avoca have that in hands, in spades over the Terrigal Trojan side. And I had a good chat to a couple of Terrigal Trojan women afterwards, just to have a quick check in and basically saying, what the hell's going on? You know, where's what's happening? Worryingly, the ladies that I spoke to individually, not at the same time, so they weren't. These are one-on-one conversations I had with them. They all said, we don't know. That's a concern. That's a big concern.
I think a bit of although I believe the scoreline flattered Terrigal, only going down by 5 points, but they only lost by 5 points. I don't think they played that good. That's the thing with, if it clicks, it's easy. It's there.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with you. They've got strike weapons out wide, but they're easily shut down when you've got an Avoca side with everyone back on deck. Well, that 25 players on the weekend.
Yeah, I know, it was insane.
You got 2.5 teams there, so they're stacked with players, and you bring in like Ed Milgate on it. Like it's just their bench is stacked, and when you got those players, you obviously you have to have a consistent plan, and you can't just throw it out wide the Sean and see how it goes.
And interestingly too, watching the game, yeah, in sort of, I thought at the time, so I'll just vocalise my thoughts during the game. I thought, man, Terrigal making way too many replacements. You've got to get into the game and get a feel for the game. I don't know, it's shorter, playing 10s and all that sort of stuff, and time constraints. But Avoca made far fewer substitutions. They might have made 3 or 4 at once, but Terrigal seemed to be making substitutions every couple of minutes. And sometimes when it comes to important games of rugby, you need players out there to get a feel for the game and get to realise, okay, this person's a little bit slower, they're not moving up on me as quick, so I can and you lose that opportunity when you got rolling subs all the time. So mate, massive congratulations to the Avoca Beach Sharks. They've proved yet again that they've got the Terrigal Trojans measure when it comes to important games. Concerning, if I was an Avoca Beach fan and I'm a fan of the game, what concerned me for Avoca Beach going on to win the premiership was how excited they got over the major semi-final.
Yeah,
job's not done. Job is not done. You've unlocked the door. That's all you've done. You walk through the door to win the premiership. All you've done is unlock it, and they unlocked it against the Terrigal Trojans. They've got access to the grand final in that shield. They haven't won it yet, and by all means celebrate and enjoy a victory. But I thought they were getting a little bit carried away with their victory. They might say, blow it at your ass, Barthy, we're having a good time.
I hope they do.
Yeah, and they probably will. But from a coaching perspective, I'd be going, hey, what? Whoa, we've still got another game to go.
Yeah.
And if Terrigal come back up against
they get through Lakes,
they get through Lakes, Avoca Beach are going to need to be better.
Yeah.
So what a cracking day! Absolutely loved it. Fantastic.
Yeah, and just the hits, even seeing that was a big part of it. We know the skill level, we know how good they both are at wide, but just seeing that battle in the middle, there was some cracking hits. There was a couple of times where head highs and that were called, and it sort of comes to that part in which you set the precedent a little bit. So anything as high as yellow straight away and that sort of stuff. But also that evened out. I don't think that favoured either team either. And but there was some really good shots in there, which is what you love to see. And the battle between the two, it might be fierce on the field, but as soon as it's done, they're all good mates. Yeah, well, that's what you love.
But that's what competitive sport is. It's 80 minutes done. You cannot do any more after that bell goes. You can be upset, you can be disappointed, but you need to be respectful, and that's exactly what the women are. Because you can't do anything. Yeah. You've had 80 minutes to do something. So, it's done. Job done. So, I think it's yet another episode of an epic battle with those two clubs.
A dawn of the Central Coast.
Now,
all right, on to Premier 1.
Let's do it.
Terrigal beat Warnervale 12 points to 3. When I tipped Warnervale, I thought they might come through. They might be firing. They were. They had the crowd down there for support. That was probably the longest tunnel I've ever seen. There was a bin that was bashed to within an inch of its life.
And can I just say, sorry to interrupt you, pal.
Yeah, right.
But, mate, how awesome the Warnervale Wildcats, the crowd, the drumming.
The whole community.
Oh, mate, it's so good.
It just adds another element to that whole day.
It adds fantastic atmosphere. And the thing I loved about it most was I was about 100 metres away from it.
It's so noisy, but it's so
brilliant.
Good to be
absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so good.
A player comes off, they're cheering for him. Everything that they encompass rugby from a different perspective, obviously different cultural perspective. Everything that was there on the day, and that was, we haven't seen that from Warnervale. They haven't played finals in so long. So it was so good to see them there. Managing only 3 points against Terrigal, we probably thought they'd get a fair few. Tavita Fiacala, he just marshals that team. You see every time there was a penalty or a dumb error or anything like that, just straight away just getting him to reset. Yeah. And they never lost their heads. It wasn't like they just buried themselves. They just couldn't get there. And I thought Terrigal were quite plucky as well. The first try, when Danks threw that cutout ball, hit Blake Irwin and went in the corner, I was like, shit, Terrigal are on here. That was pinpoint.
And that was the first 2 minutes of the
match. Yeah. First couple of minutes. So when you see that, you're like, holy shit, this might be, doesn't matter how fired up Warnervale are, this might just be a clinic. And it didn't really turn into that. And I thought Warrnambool, aside from that first 5 to 10 minutes, Warrnambool were by far the better team in the first half.
Yeah.
Scoreline didn't suggest that. And then in the second half, I think it kind of turned around a bit. And as the game wore on, I think Terrigal just started to get a little bit more on top as the game went. And I think Warrnambool a bit frustrated they just couldn't break that line. But really, they were cancelling each other throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
You take that 7 points away, it sort of happened in the early stages. And yeah, it's a.
Well, you take the 7 points out, it's 5-3.
Yeah. And that's such a close game.
And it kind of was that it kind of was a 5-3 game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was that ball as soon as I was just like, I've seen Danks so many times that this is just going to be 20 points before Warrnambool know it. But to their credit, they played awesome. There was so many good players, and there's a couple of players that playing for Warrnambool now that were at Wee, and seeing them grow into really good players like Benny Austin, Jacob Gall, they were awesome on the weekend. I haven't seen them play like that. They've obviously grown up a lot since they've gone to Warrnambool, and they are genuine first graders and game-breaking first graders. The way they were carrying the ball, their work ethic, seeing that, I hadn't seen that before, and what they're doing at Warrnambool, and probably coaching, having different players around them, etc. was that was really good. So fortunately for Warrnambool, can't go through, but Terrigal, I wouldn't say get away with them one, but I don't think Terrigal aren't at the level yet, which we've seen them in previous years. But again, they found a way to win.
I think the fantastic thing for the Wildcats is they've shown and they've arrived as a competitive side in the competition now that needs to be respected. Not that they ever were disrespected or anything like that, but they've put the rest of the competition on notice with just their physicality, but also their mentality. And that's where I think they're gaining a hell of a lot more respect in regards to putting in for 80 minutes, not going, shit, we can't win it, and then, carrying on with silly stuff. They're in it for the 80 minutes. They're in it to win the game. And I think that's a real testament to what's going on up there at the moment. And massive congratulations to everyone around the Warrnambool club and the mighty Wildcats, because they've had a fantastic season on and off the field. So it's been really good year for them. And going down 7-12 to the team that has won 5 of the last 12-3, sorry, team that's won the last 5 or 6 grand finals. That's not a bad effort. 4 or 5 of the last 6, something like that. Yeah.
A lot.
Well done, Wildcats.
And the next game, mate, went to extra time. Unfortunately, I had to leave. I didn't envision extra time happening, so I had dinner locked in. I had the missus in the car park saying, we're going to go. I'm like, this is extra time here. So I had to jump in the car and then get the New South Wales Rugby app up and just watch the last couple of minutes. Mate, that game, I just sat there just as a fan and gone, how awesome is this? It was just tit for tat. And it was genuinely that whole thing of cancelling each other out.
Actually, I don't think they cancelled each other out.
You don't reckon?
No, I thought.
See, I just think even every time Lockie Peruk ran the ball, which he runs so many times, he just got bashed. And that never happens, but he just kept on going again, but never made the meters. Peden was the one that really got them going forward. He was phenomenal. What was your take?
My take was a absolute Razorback performance to perfection.
In terms of what?
In terms of putting close to, in terms of putting an undefeated rugby side in a position that they'd never been to in before, where they did not play remotely close to a side that hasn't lost a game. And the reason they weren't allowed to do that is because of how the Razorbacks played. And that whole sort of, drawing you down and getting you in and getting into a sort of a tight tussle and a wrestle and a gritty, not fight, but you know what I mean. How many times did the ball through set play go to the outer channels? It was played in the 30 metres down the centre of the field. And then so what happens is when you start to feel, I'm going to hypothesise here in regards to what's happening to the Boca side. They're going, oh shit, we're going to arrest back this momentum, and we're going to arrest it back here. But they've never needed to do that, or they've never gone into that headspace before, where they can go, all right, let's just calm down, let's just reset, and let's just start to work around the corners. What they do very well at Avoca, around the corner. They didn't really do that. They just tried a little bit more one-off and tried to outmuscle the Razorbacks, where the Razorbacks have just got happy days.
Yeah.
You're down in the mud with us now, and we'll back ourselves in the mud. And that's what they did. How many times did you see the Avoca Beach side actually attack through the 12-13 channels? Not very often.
See, I thought especially there. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and when they did throw it out there, they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like, it's not working here. It's not working here. Let's get it out to Brigger and see if he can dance around him.
Yeah.
When that's not the time to get it to the fullback. You know what I mean? Like I thought the Razorbacks were clinical in putting the Sharks off their game. I
think we said it last week as well. The back row of the Razorbacks, it's not just the back row that can do this. It's every player in their team. Their hooker, Razorback hooker, can't remember his name, busted his shoulder.
Tough.
Oh, his name escapes me. I'll look it up. He was tough, but the back row is, obviously gets a lot of credit with the players that they got in there. But watching every single ruck that, say, Voca carry the ball, there's always one of the three of them that are there, and they're just a pest every time. Even if they get cleaned out, it's usually not the first person that gets them. They're holding onto a player. Lockie's really good at it. It cleans out usually over the ball. So when someone hits him, he drags a player back, or he drags the ball back as well. And that really slows that momentum, and that stops Mitch McGrath getting that ball out quick, and Sam Evans, playing onto Alex Halls, and that slowed down a lot. And just how plucky they are, especially Peden. As soon as it's a turnover, just go. The three of them can do it, but it just goes straight away, and they just fire it as far as they can. They're so skillful, they can just kick downfield themselves. I thought that was a moment that, as soon as that ball gets turned over, it's danger signs, and mainly from their forward pack, really. I didn't get the sense from that game that the Razorbacks' back line was on song, but their back line was going to do damage, but I felt like as a team they were doing damage. And this is consistent with what happened last year as well, with how good they are in finals, but just playing tough rugby and not allowing the opposition to do that.
The Razorbacks don't play for their back line.
Yeah.
They go to the backs when there's nothing else on offer.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, they've sucked the opposition in that well, that there's it's just a numerical advantage.
Jade Strongman's the hooker's name.
Yeah, he had a cracker.
He was phenomenal. Their scrum, Razorback scrum, was a real feature in that first half as well. They were dominating Avoca
big time.
There's a couple of penalties that probably should have,
I thought Geordie had one of his. I thought he was great. Yeah, and tight. Yeah. He didn't move more than 2 or 3 meters from the tackle contest.
Well, he generally doesn't, Geordie.
But he was effective. Yeah, and look, I think for the Razorbacks stifled the Avoca Beach chance to get some ascendancy and develop any sort of platform. And whilst you can look and you can highlight sort of individual passages in a game where they've done well, there was no real flow to their attack. And
that's good finals footy, though. That's what I love about it. But, there was a couple of penalty goals that Avoca could have easily won this game. If a penalty goal goes over, which it could have a couple of times, they win the game. And we sit here and just go, okay, well, Avoca are going through to the grand final. It was that close. Like, this is one of the epic games where you get to the last kick of extra time, like the last moment of extra time. Ball goes through the post, Huda goes, that's it, game. Like, that is an epic encounter. I thought Tom Murphy was also huge for Avoca.
Yeah, and, mate, the loss of him, massive impact.
Yeah.
Massive impact.
Just when you need that person to say, I'm going to go forward, and I don't care who's in front of me, I'm taking them on. And he'll do that with anybody on the coast. And having him at 8, who just takes that and wants the battle, wants to get it and find the biggest player on the field and go and running at him, or find the person who's the leader of their forward pack and take them on. And that's what Tom does.
Didn't quite have someone else with him. In regards to that, Blake Jacobs, outstanding, as always. Little Jack in the Box. Again, I've spoken many times how much I love watching that guy play. He was, mate. Everyone was doing their best. That's not the discussion. It's the disruption that was being so successful by the Razorbacks, and the good thing for Avoca, I think it's better to happen now than potentially in 2 weeks' time if they get past the Trojans. And they probably needed it. Just in regards to, all right, we need to have a little bit of shape from stagnant ball, from still ball. A couple of times there, it was flat ball from the 9 to the 10 to the 12, and Alex Halls, because he's as strong as an ox, trucks it up and gets a little bit of momentum. And sometimes there, when they tried to play back out with a little bit of shape and fine, Brigger and the wider channels, it was too flat. The defensive line was up on them. And Sean Peruk, who we'll touch on shortly, he was enormous in defence in the 13 jersey for the Razorbacks, and his speed in moving up just shut down any potential opportunities, and that's where they missed that forward platform first. So what a absolute cracker match. It has to be said though, we're playing against 13 players for probably 8 minutes. The Razorbacks, Avoca Beach had 2 people in the sin bin at the same time. There's 2 ways you can look at it, and depending on which side of the fence you are, depends on how you want to look at it. You can look at it as in what an epic performance by the Avoca Beach side to reduce the potential blowout.
Yeah, so they're down there 8 and they're 13.
Yep, or you can look at it from what an absolute wasted opportunity by the Razorbacks to score plenty of points in 8 minutes.
Yeah,
I go down the path of what a wasted opportunity was my thoughts, because there was a period of time there they're kicking the ball for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm going, what the hell are you guys doing? You should be stripping the Razorbacks of numbers. You got 2 extra people on the field. How do you not find them with a pass?
Yeah.
So opportunity wasted by the Razorbacks. They're going to need to be a hell of a lot smarter than that come grand final.
Especially Liam Jenkins in that outside channel. You lost him, or Avoca lost him. There's a chance to attack there, and you lose Tom Murphy at 8 as well. Who's really stinging defence as well. There's an opportunity there as well. So, I think there should have been a few more points in, but hey, they're playing the grand final in 2 weeks. As if they give a shit. Sean Peruk, bit of an ugly...
real ugly incident for those of you who are watching. Clashed a bit of friendly fire, hitting, I think it was the inside centre. I think they sort of wrapped around the player and bashed noggins. And poor old Shawnee went down, sort of pretty dazed, looked like he might have been knocked out. When he came to, certainly it happened from where, right in front of us. And when he came to, sort of, when you're dazed and that sort of stuff, feeling for his face, and you could see that, we could see from the distance I was at anyway, it was just blood on his face. And I've gone, oh no, the poor bugger.
This is gone.
Yeah. Good news is, we chatted to Sean today via socials. He's doing well. He's fine, recovered. He's got a broken nose, and that's essentially all it was, which is absolutely fantastic. I was thinking possibly eye socket.
When you were saying, feeling for his face as well.
Oh mate, I thought,
blood everywhere, broken jaw. Like you don't have bad teeth going everywhere.
Yeah. So absolutely fantastic news for Sean. He's happy and healthy, or getting healthier. He's still ugly. The good news for that is
nothing will change.
He was ugly before the hit, and now So
play on. Hopefully, good for the grand final in 2 weeks. Hopefully, he recovers. The head's all good.
Good on you, Shawnee.
So massive week, mate. Premier 1, Terrigal beat Warnervale. Warnervale drop out. Razorbacks beat Avoca. So this weekend we'll have Avoca and Terrigal. So let's get into the preview for this weekend. We'll start with President's Cup. Terrigal play Gosford Carryong. The winner will meet the Razorbacks in the grand final. Premier 2, Avoca play Razorbacks. The winner will meet Terrigal in the grand final. On to the women's. Terrigal Lakes.
So the way it stands at the moment, the Trojans have the opportunity to have all 4 senior rugby sides in the grand final, and the Razorbacks have the opportunity to have 3 of their 4 senior sides in the grand final. So what an outstanding performance by those 2 clubs.
So 3, no, that's incorrect. Oh man, this draw for the women's is killing me.
What do you need to know? It's all up here, mate. I got it in my head.
Lakes,
yeah.
Terrigal.
Yes.
Last time they played at the Haven.
It was a tight game.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a tight game, but it blew away at the end. A few more points got put on them. but they were very competitive at early doors. But they are a substantially better rugby side than they were back then. They've grown and blossomed into a really competitive side. So I think they're gonna go in there with nothing to lose, and I think that's an important attitude for them to go into. Their games against Terrigal have sort of blown out a little bit, but I guess they've got to go in with that mindset of, well, we've beaten the side twice that Terrigal can't beat. So let's just get out there, rip in, and just play some footy, chance their hand. I think that Terrigal have everything to lose in this match because they are massive favourites.
And they are expected to win. Everyone is expecting Terrigal Avoca as the two premier sides in the competition. For the last couple of years, no one's expecting that third, fourth place team to challenge them yet.
The Lakes are a sensational chance of knocking the Trojans off. The Trojans are going to be rattled, guarantee you that. They got out-muscled. They got bullied off the ball against the Avoca Beach side. 2 tries apiece, a penalty and conversions is the difference. But Terrigal got bullied and out-muscled off the ball. And the Lakes have got a side that can do the same to them. And they've just got to go in with that attitude of, well, who cares? Let's just have a crack. Let's just see what happens. There's no point losing by 1. You might as well lose by 20. Yeah, that sort of just chancing your hand, throwing the ball around. They almost need to play like the French do against the All Blacks. And that's the French against the All Blacks probably
have a lot of success.
Because they just play an unstructured, let's just have a crack, see what happens. Lakes, I think that's the secret.
I think Terrigal are going to win the game or lose the game for themselves. I think if Lakes can play really well and get inside Terrigal and just really upset them, I think Terrigal have the chance with the frustration they've got against the Avoca. And this is a game where, as you said, they've got it all to lose, it feels like, because they should be in the big dance of the Avoca. But Lakes have got the team that can upset.
Yeah. That's
what the exciting thing is. And Lakes are a genuine sniff of this. And finals footy is always different. And, this could go either. I'm going Terrigal.
I reckon the Sharks will be wanting Terrigal to win, to be honest.
I think so as well. Well, they've lost Lakes twice. Lost to Lakes twice.
Yeah.
Once was at home as well.
Lakes have dominated against the Avoca side. They've got it in them. They've just got to be able to shut down Terrigal or out-muscle them. There's an opportunity. And I think the key to victory against the Trojan women is you saw the line speed from the Sharks, the Avoca Beach side, just didn't give them any chance to get up to get any momentum in the forward pack. Yeah, Millie Lupo had a cracking game, plenty of carries, but she had 2 or 3 Avoca women just charging at her and chopping her down real early. Didn't get a chance to get much steam up. And, once they've done that once or twice, Terrigal kind of went, shit, let's get it at the backs and pass it out and, hope Jess or someone else can score. And we saw it just didn't happen because they didn't have that platform. Anyway, and it's kind of repeating myself, but that's what the Lakes need to do. Really take it to the Terrigal forwards because they've got the speed to match it. To Erina Army, and she's got speed to burn.
Lightning.
So that negates the whole Sean George, argument. The Lakes have a real good opportunity to, they can spring a massive upset. I think they're capable.
Are you backing them?
No. The reason why I'm not backing them is because of the pain that the Trojan women will be in.
Yeah, I still can't see a world where it's not Terrigal Avoca in that final. I think it's not catastrophic for Terrigal, but it'd be a big disappointment if they're not playing in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. You minor premiers.
They lost 1 game all year.
2 games.
2 games, did they?
2 games. They're minor premiers. It says they've lost 2. I don't think they've lost 2.
They lost 1 to Avoca.
Who did they lose to earlier?
Don't know. Anyway, I think Terrigal will win. How about this for the ultimate sitting on the fence comment? I think the Trojans will win, but it won't surprise me if the Lakes win.
That is as good as you get.
But the Trojan women, for me, But it needs to be a hell of a lot better performance. It needs to be a more balanced performance.
Be nice if I could find it there. That'd be Avoca, wouldn't it? Anyway, move on. All right, Terrigal for me as well. Premier 1. Avoca play Terrigal. Winner advances to play against Razorbacks in the grand final at Central Coast Stadium next weekend.
Well, what a cracking match this is going to be.
Well, I'm bullish on Avoca.
Yeah.
I which is really weird to say.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got every right to this year.
I'm confident on Avoca. I just can't see. I still don't think things are clicking for Terrigal. I still don't think they're the team that haven't been in previous years. Many reasons for that, and I spoke about them a little bit last week as well. And I just think in watching the game, the Avoca Razorbacks game, it was just a different beast to the Terrigal Warnervale game last week, and Avoca will be hurting, and they've got the taste of defeat now by the barest of margins. They didn't get smacked or anything. It was a penalty goal in at the end. The thing that works against them is how long they had to play for. That is, they'd be very, very sore. But they've got that experience now, and that's longer on the field as well. I think that'd be a good thing for them just in terms of navigating situations, because they would have went to some pretty dark places in that extra time, and knowing they can get through that. Again, came down to a penalty goal, so I think they would take that with a grain of salt of 44 out, Ryan Fenning slots it, but at any time that can miss in the game's just going to keep going. What do you know the rule? If they extra time it's a draw, if they could go through?
I'd need to double check, but I think that the highest placed team progresses.
Is it? Yeah, right. So
that's what it certainly used to be, unless they've changed that recently.
Yeah,
that's what it used to be.
Yeah, we're not going to drop goal shoot off.
No, we're dropping one.
I just think Avoca for me. I can't, unless Avoca play poorly, I can't, and I can't see that happening at the moment. I can't see Terrigal getting under the skin of Avoca. I think Avoca are a lot more mature. Terrigal could do it in the past. I don't feel like that is doable now. I have put the great mocks on a lot of teams this year, but I just can't see it. I think Avoca by sort of 10, 15 plus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it'll be that big a margin. I don't necessarily disagree with you either. I think the Avoca Beach side. I think they'll win it. I think that the Terrigal had a couple of players out in that back line, and a few changes in the sort of forward pack. I thought. Popo was freaking
so good to watch.
Solid. Yeah. Eddie Lopolo, his runs were just brilliant. Those two especially, I thought were really, really strong.
I don't know if they had a lot of support in other players that were really carrying tough through the middle though, and I think when Terrigal are on song, they need all 8 of them to be really charging up. And there's a couple of carries that were just they fell below standard. And I think against Avoca, they're going to really.
I can tell you right now, they run with that same body height against Avoca, and there's a couple of players guilty of just running far too high. They got away with it against Warnervale because Warnervale just wanted up and bash.
Yeah.
But you run that high against the Avoca side, they'll hold you up and you won't go anywhere, and that ball will be locked up and turnover waiting. So I just think Terrigal just don't seem to be a settled side. And even their defensive patterns on the weekend, on Saturday, it was like every 20 minutes, it was almost like they were playing a different defensive pattern. Sometimes
that confused me a little bit. Not obviously, I'm not a coach, and you want different tactics, and they won the game, so obviously it's effective. But that surprised me, just like in terms of Danks looking.
Sometimes Danks was defending at 10. Sometimes
he's attacking at 13.
Yeah,
and then Woolies at
10, and then it was just. I tell you too. I thought Frankie Webber did a pretty solid job at 12. Yeah, I thought. But again, there's a fullback playing 12, maybe through necessity, through injury. I know they've got some injuries, but it also it disrupts the flow of what's been a pretty stable and predictable, dependable is probably a better word.
Yeah.
Terrigal Trojan backline. And I think sort of sadly as a Terrigal Trojan, former Trojan, was the once Lotta Harry Thompson once said to me once, once you're a Trojan, you're always a Trojan. So maybe I still am one. But I think Avoca Beach will win the game, and I think it'll be a sad finish to the year for the Terrigal Trojans.
I think they're
not a sad finish to the year. They're still going to make the preliminary semi-final, but I think it's. Let me describe it this way.
I think Terrigal have got reason to finish where they're finishing, and it's still an outstanding effort with the team changes they've had week to week. The off-field stuff that's happened.
Yeah, a lot of duress, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they're still playing good. Like they've had a heavier loss against Avoca, and that was basically it. They're still playing. They're still top shelf side.
Well, harsh taskmakers because they've been the best team in the comp for so long. We still expect them to be.
Exactly.
And they're not in the moment.
Yeah.
And I see their season petering out as opposed to going out with a bang. Do you know what I mean? Their last few performances have been, I wouldn't say it. Well, it's certainly been un-Terrigal-like of recent time anyway. But I'll back the Avoca Beach side here. Geez, that hurt.
I can hear the pain in the voice.
Mate.
I enjoyed every moment.
Oh, mate, it hurt. Well, we're going to call it how we see it or how we think it. All right, Berner, mate, we touched a little bit on it at the start of the podcast, and we've had a lot of sort of interactions through social media. Just as we said, the podcast is not being killed. It's not being knocked on the head. It was our commentary, which was a decision made by the Central Coast Rugby Union and the board. So, look, we just thought we just wanted to clear it up and clear the air about it. We had a lot of people come and see us and sort of what's going on. So, mate, I'll throw to you, pal.
Yep. So essentially, we've been commentating the last 4 years. Past 4 years. So just with obviously the transition to put everything online.
Yeah. Also the sevens and a variety of other things.
So we've had all these commitments that we have obviously done. Absolutely love doing it. The problem with doing a passion project or something you love is that sometimes life gets in the way and you can't do everything. And that's happened twice this year. We had something get in the way when we had the season launch at the start of the year, which we gave CCRU a couple of days' notice about.
Yeah, I'll just don't want to sound bitter here, but we were available for the first launch.
Yeah.
The changing of the dates caused a bit of an issue.
Yep. And then on the weekend, we had to pull out at last minute to commentate the finals.
First week of the finals.
Sorry. Which was unfortunate, but again, we're doing passion projects. Obviously, life gets in the way. Sometimes those things have to happen. Did leave CCRU a little bit short, and they had to find a commentator for the day. And then since that, they've basically said that they're finding somebody a little bit more reliable. So they've stuck with the same person. So we received a message from them saying, good news, we found somebody for the weekend, which is great. We've let them know we're available for the next 3 weekends, but they've said, look, we're going to stay with the person that we got. And from a personal perspective, it's obviously a little bit disappointing because we've.
Oh, you can say it how it is. It's horrendously disappointing.
Yeah, and that is from a personal perspective. Obviously, we love commentating. We love interacting with people, before the games, after the games, but even during the games and interacting with family members. That's something that we love doing with people writing in and watching the commentary and us saying, contact us and, we can talk about it. But I think, I suppose a little bit what I was frustrated about with the whole thing was, I suppose, be branded as the not reliable when we've been doing this week in, week out for 4 seasons, including 10 weeks of COVID in which we just talk crap and got people on and did all these things just to help promote the game. And, rugby is not in the best position in this country or in the area at the moment. And you need all you can get with people who are willing to give up their time to promote the game. and not just promote the game, but get people on, get personalities on, and highlight the amazing people we have on the coast, whether it's people who are working in the canteen, managers, coaches, players, volunteers, whatever it is, and push them. And that's what we're doing every single week. And we obviously move, this takes about 3 hours every week to do, with the setting up, the recording, editing, pushing it out to audio and and video services. So it does take a while to do these things, and we do it every single week because we know that that's what people love, because they tell us that, and we obviously see that from the data from all the from the streaming services. So I think after doing it for 4 years every single week, and you've been away a lot this year, you've taken a little bit of a different journey in terms of work, and with that, you've traveled around the country the whole year, which is why we've been doing everything everywhere, but we still found a way to make it work because we understand that's what rugby needs, and we put things on hold to make that work. Might have had to be a different day here and there, but we've done it. And I think that's, for me personally, that's a bit of the frustrating thing of, you guys are now being branded as unreliable, so you can't do the commentary. If it was something along the lines of, look, we want a different product, because we obviously offer our own unique product, the two of us together. If it was just one of us, it'd be different. If it's two of us together, we obviously offer something a bit different to your normal commentary. People seem to love it because that's the feedback that we get. We don't really get much negative. It probably is, but that's what we get. CCRU want to go a different avenue. I'd completely respect that. But I think, me personally, if you're 2 things in 4 years of doing weekly podcasts to support everything, to push everything,
it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. It's bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, it is a little bit, and I don't want this to be a negative stain at all on an otherwise positive podcast, because a lot of positivity on the weekend that was happening, but we do need to address it. People have asked, what has happened, so we've got to sort of clear the air of it. And
I think also too, so we don't get people sort of carrying on a bit to the board. Whilst it's in our favour. So but seriously, that is the justification for it. I don't have. I agree with you. I was disappointed. Like you've said. I don't need to air sort of conversations that I've had, but I'm comfortable. I'm disappointed in the outcome, but I think it's just a case of I don't know, mate. It's just a real shame. We've just got so much traction in the community, and I guess it feels a little bit short-sightedness as a short-term fix. And when you're in a volunteer organisation and you got people openly willing, anyway, look, I'm
the same as you in terms of, I thought about it. I'm like, obviously personally, I'd love to commentate, right? Awesome experience. I'd love to do that. So there's a personal element there, and obviously we're proud of what we've created with the podcast.
Absolutely.
4 years ago, there was, we've got to look at the promotion that we get for Central Coast Rugby. There's a Word doc that's sent out every week to everyone's emails that tells you the scores, followed by a preview for the following week. And then you might get an NBN news coverage that would be, here's the link to the video.
How outstanding was when they actually play the videos on NBN having commentary.
Yeah.
And having, they even played some of our nonsense when we were having some fun.
But that was the promotion of the game, right? So as a player, again, I played in it. Like, I stopped my playing days for this, not for this, but I started this up immediately after. And there was nothing featured. I didn't know anything about other players and other clubs. I just didn't, and I didn't know that every club's really similar in so many ways, and the same people exist at other, at other clubs. And we've kind of, brought that to life, and we've got people on the podcast, and there's now features of the game, and there's people that we talk about each week, and there's genuine people of the game now, not just a couple of representative players that are around, but we get to know so many characters through the work that we do. So on that, I think short-sighted is actually a really good way to put it, because you've got us who are doing this week in, week out, and
have been doing it week in, week out.
Have been doing it week in, week out for 4 years. And to say, you guys aren't going to do it anymore, then, well, I don't know how I feel about it. again, I'm trying to take the personal element out of it. I'm thinking if you've got somebody who's willing to promote your game and talk about your clubs and talk about your players and talking about the decisions that you guys are making and rave about everything and promote this game and record an episode every week that strikes up a conversation that might get more people down to watch a rugby on the weekend, that might get people to put their boots on again, someone to come down and just help out, be a manager, anything. I just don't know if I'd throw that away for the sake of, well, you've let us down at short notice. It was quite inconvenient on the day. Like I look at, again, in my head, I'm trying to go like, well, you do this as a player, like you want to set standards. I'm like, you're not setting a standard for a local podcast that's doing, I don't know. I'm a bit, that was a part of me that's like, it just didn't quite feel right. In saying,
Yes, you absolutely do set standards for people who are unreliable.
But
2 personal issues over 4 years, I'm going to argue that's not unreliable.
I don't think that's unreliable. And again, we were down there on the weekend. We did even, highlighting it. And it wasn't about that. It was about highlighting the awesome people and the awesome games that we have. And we're back again doing it again tonight. So I don't know if unreliable is the tag.
Anyway, we don't want to sound bitter.
We don't want to sound bitter.
Because we're not bitter.
We're not. It's a decision made. And also we're
Victoria, but we're not bitter.
The other thing is we have nothing against the people of the CCRU board. Like Todd, we've had him on, the president, we've had him on previously. Kate, when the women's got started up, we pushed for the Kate Thompson medal. Like we understand how amazing Kate is playing wise. She was my favorite referee to actually have. As a board, personally, I think it's is an average decision, but in terms of personally, there is no bitterness, and I don't want to come across that there's something bitter between us and people on the board, because that's not the case. I'm sure we'll still continue to work positively moving forward. Yeah, that's hopefully in a more reliable manner, Barthy.
So, so that's the reason, people. We ummed and ahed quite a fair bit about whether or not we'd record anything about it, but I think having recorded gives it the one version. And it reduces the Chinese whispers, because I think I explained the situation about bloody 20,000 times on the weekend to people who come up going, what are you doing out here? Shouldn't you be in the commentary? So it just reduces that Chinese whispers. They were the reasons. Hopefully we didn't come across too bitter, but we are 2 disappointed individuals. But anyway, you get disappointed in life. So that's why it goes.
Well, Barthy, that might do us, mate.
Looking forward to a great day on Saturday. It's going to be some outstanding rugby, do or die again, cracking matches. People getting out there on a Saturday, be careful. The times have changed because we don't have the double games, double Premier 1 games. So we'll be going back to the more traditional time slots, Premier 1, 3, 3:15, that sort of stuff. So double check your times before heading down there. You don't want to miss the kickoff, especially the women's. It's going to be an absolute cracker. They'll be playing sort of earlier than they have. So the kickoff times will be more representative of the regular season times.
Yep. And every game this weekend, obviously winners going through to the grand final. You can grab your grand final tickets. Now they are available on whatever website they're available on. Check through the socials. Central Coast Rugby's been promoting it. Ticket Tech. The lights are coming on now, Barthy.
Time for B&B after dark.
That'll do us, guys. We'll see you on Saturday. See ya.